War doesn't begin with gunfire. It begins with hunger, silence, and the smell of cold metal cans on the battlefield. For soldiers, food was more than just survival. It was a fragile reminder of home. Every nation promised to feed its heroes, but promises don't fill empty stomachs. The U.S. Army introduced the C ration: canned meat, biscuits, and dreams of efficiency. It was heavy, tasteless, and cold. But to many, it was the taste of life itself. Every bite carried memories of mothers, kitchens, and the warmth of peace long gone. British troops relied on compo rations, boxes of tinned meat, jam, and the ever-loyal companion, tea. But after weeks at war, tea tasted like iron, and bread turned to dust. In the frozen hell of the Eastern Front, soldiers faced a colder enemy than bullets: starvation. When supplies ran out, they boiled leather belts and ate weeds. Survival had no dignity. Food was not just nourishment, it was hope in a can. German soldiers carried Eiserner rations, iron rations meant for the last resort. They were told, never eat them unless facing death. Most didn't wait that long. In the Pacific, heat became the enemy of every ration. Rice spoiled, meat rotted, and hope melted under the jungle sun. Yet somehow, they invented recipes from despair: Spam stew, coconut soup, jungle omelets. They joked that hunger was the best seasoning. Across enemy lines, Japanese soldiers survived on rice, dried fish, and prayers. Most fell sick not from bullets, but from what they ate or couldn't eat. By 1944, armies learned a truth older than war itself. A soldier fights on food, not faith. The Allies improved their rations, adding chocolate, instant coffee, and cigarettes, small luxuries in a world gone mad. A single chocolate bar could buy friendship or save a life. Coffee became a ritual, a reminder that somewhere life was still normal. On the front lines, every sip was a moment of peace before chaos returned. Not all rations were equal. Some soldiers feasted, others starved. French soldiers were lucky. They had wine, cheese, and bread when supply allowed. Meanwhile, on the Eastern Front, soldiers scraped frost from metal helmets to melt into water. Even hunger had rules. You eat last if you lead. In prisoner camps, food became currency, a single potato worth more than gold. They learned to hide crumbs, to count beans, to live between hunger and hope. Sometimes guards would share food, sometimes they wouldn't. Food became memory, stories told through taste that no one would forget. In the Pacific, soldiers hunted for coconuts and rainwater, praying they'd last another day. At night, they dreamed of plates full of food and woke up to empty hands. Rations weren't just food, they were morale, medicine for the mind. When morale failed, even the best meals tasted like ashes. Cooking became therapy, stirring hope into whatever pot they could find. Some rations were legendary, like the D ration chocolate bar. It was dense, bitter, and nearly indestructible. It was designed to survive anything, except human taste buds. Still, that tiny bar carried a promise: we'll make it home. Inside a muddy trench, soldiers crouched under the rain, heating their tins over small candles. The smell of metal and smoke fills the air. One soldier breaks his ration biscuit in half, offering it to his comrade. For a moment, the war feels far away. Behind the front lines, field kitchens roar with life. Huge pots bubble with soup, and tired cooks shout orders over the noise. These cooks were heroes in their own way, turning whatever they had into something edible, sometimes even delicious. In winter, frozen rations became bricks of ice. Soldiers had to melt snow just to warm their meals. Some armies experimented with chocolate bars fortified with caffeine, a sweet burst of energy in hell. In the German army, Eintopf, a thick stew, became a symbol of unity and endurance. The British soldiers nicknamed their canned meat bully beef. It was salty, greasy, and nearly unbreakable. Meanwhile, the Soviets relied on black bread, salted fish, and tea, a diet as hard as the people who survived it. Food became identity. Every army's ration reflected its culture, its economy, and its hope. When supplies ran low, soldiers got creative. They fried insects, boiled roots, and even ate candle wax to survive. Prisoners of war faced even harsher conditions. Bowls of thin soup, crusts of bread, sometimes nothing at all. Some guards would share their own food out of pity, risking punishment to offer a human moment in inhuman times. Even the smallest meal could lift spirits, a reminder that they were still alive, still human. Letters from home often included recipes, dishes the soldiers could only dream of tasting again. Some kept those recipes as treasures, folded carefully inside their helmets. When victory finally came, food was the first celebration. Hot bread, real meat, and laughter again. For many, it was the first real meal in months, the taste of peace itself. Years later, veterans still remember not the battles, but the meals they shared. Because in war, every bite was a story of hunger, hope, and survival. In the ruins of war, soldiers searched for anything edible. Apples from shattered orchards, potatoes from broken farms. They learned to see food not as luxury, but as survival. Each bite a small victory. In field hospitals, nurses offered warm soup to the wounded. It was medicine for body and soul. The smell of that soup stayed with them long after the war ended. When peace came, food became a symbol of rebuilding, of life returning to broken nations. In France, farmers baked bread again. In Britain, families gathered around roast stingers. In America, soldiers came home to kitchens filled with smells they had only dreamed of overseas. A mother's cooking could erase years of hunger in a single bite. The stories of war rations became family legends, passed down with laughter and tears. Grandpa used to eat chocolate that could break your teeth, the kids would giggle. But behind the jokes was respect for what those meals meant and what they survived. Food historians today still study those wartime recipes, recreating them in modern kitchens. The flavors tell stories of courage, improvisation, and sheer willpower. Some collectors keep original rations, tins and boxes, frozen in time. They are not just artifacts, but memories sealed in metal. Every dent, every scratch, a story of survival under fire. Today, when we eat freely, we forget how fragile a meal once was. A single loaf of bread once carried the weight of an army's hope. Even in the darkest hours, humanity survived, through courage, through kindness, and through food. Because in every war, food is more than sustenance. It is memory, identity, and the proof that we lived. Years later, the same soldiers returned to those battlefields, now covered in grass and silence. They knelt down, touching the ground, remembering the hunger, the fear, and the meals that kept them alive. One soldier whispered, "We shared bread here," and dreams. Beside him, a small wooden table stood with a loaf of bread, left as a tribute to the past. The world had changed. Faster, louder, wealthier, but the memories of ration days never faded. In kitchens across the world, chefs now honor those who cooked in chaos. They call it history on a plate. Food once meant survival. Now it means remembrance. Museums around the world now display old ration tins, dented, rusted, sacred. Every visitor sees not just a can, but a story trapped in metal. Children ask, did they really eat that? And their parents answer softly, yes, and they survived. In that moment, history breathes again, not through weapons, but through a meal remembered. A simple spoon, a tin cup, a loaf of bread, artifacts of resilience. Each one tells us, we endured, we were human. And maybe that's what food truly is, a bridge between the living and those who came before us. The same bread, different hands, The same hunger, different times. Through food, they left us their story. Silent, but eternal. Every meal we eat in peace today is paid for by those who once ate in war. So next time you eat, remember, someone once starved for your freedom. And though their plates are now empty, their legacy remains full of courage, sacrifice, and humanity. For those who fed hope in the darkest of times.